Recently I did a video called 10 of the best designer fragrances. Now it's time to take a look at niche fragrances. So stay tuned to find out my list. What's going on, guys? Raj here. I hope all of you are well. Today I'm going to be taking a look at 10 really amazing niche fragrances. These are fragrances that I either own in full bottles now or I have owned in the past, except for one of them. I'm not saying that these are the best niche fragrances of all time. This isn't exactly a top 10 video, but these are 10 fantastic fragrances that I just wanted to mention at this moment in time in this video. If I've reviewed the fragrance, I will leave a link down below in the description box. Let's crack on with the first fragrance on this list. Coming out of the country Oman, this fragrance brand is called Amouage and the fragrance is Epic Man. Epic Man was one of the first Amouage fragrances I purchased. This is a newer bottle that I have. I have also owned it in the older version. Honestly, I can't really tell any differences in terms of scent. Obviously, you would need to compare side by side, but I really think that this new version with the magnetic cap and no writing down the side before it used to say Epic, I think is still as good as the first one that I used to own. One thing that I really like about Amouage Epic Man is there is quite a, maybe surprising you could say, freshness to this fragrance. It's quite green, and I think that matches up really nicely with this lemony, smoky frankincense note, which is absolutely sublime. Epic Man is quite refined, it's quite elegant. It's a fragrance that I sometimes wear to work and I get some good comments. And it's one of those where I want to feel classy and well put together, but nothing, I don't want to wear anything bland. I want something with depth, but still maintains that classiness, and I think Epic Man does that really, really well. I've only reviewed one fragrance from the Spanish house Ramon Monegal, but this one was an absolute beauty. The fragrance I'm talking about is Cuirelle. Cuirelle is a fragrance that, to be honest, is not really spoken about too much here on YouTube. It is a honey fragrance, it is a leather fragrance, and I find that I pick up on a note of like white wine, could be like grapey, alcoholic grapes kind of vibe. Very, very interesting fragrance. I gave this a very, very high score, so check out the review if you haven't done so already. Bottle design on this one is fantastic. I think there is a very nice sweet powdery quality to this fragrance. I feel that it's a great scent to wear in the evening, and yeah, I mean, it's one of those that I think should get some more love or some more light shined onto this one. Very, very beautiful, and look at the design, really cool. Reminds me of some sort of lighter, like a cigar lighter. Really worth checking out. This list wouldn't be complete without mentioning a fragrance from the house of Guerlain, and the first one I'm going to talk about is Précieux Nectar. MPN is a fragrance that I would definitely bring back into my collection. I loved the sweet powdery almond, tonka bean, vanilla notes in here. It had a sweetness, but it never went too far and became too sweet. It was a beautiful, delicious, gourmand fragrance. I feel like recently I feel like this fragrance has the DNA, or maybe the blueprint you could say, to the L'Homme Idéal range. You've got that kind of boozy almond liqueur type qualities to be found, and I think it is found in Précieux Nectar. It is a very indulgent and luxurious fragrance. If you've tried this one, I would love to hear your thoughts and whether you pick up on any similarities to the L'Homme Idéal range. Beautiful fragrance, definitely worth checking out. The L'Art et la Matière collection, which means the art and materials, is for me a really, really high quality line of fragrances from Guerlain. And one of my favorites from the line is Bois d'Arménie, which means Armenian woods. I have this one in the travel spray, and I think once I'm done with it, I think I'm going to have to upgrade to a full-size bottle. So I don't think they actually produce these ones anymore, which I think is a real shame. This is a 20 ml. I picked this up a couple of years ago from the Champs-Élysées boutique in Paris. I'm pretty sure if I went back to Guerlain, they would refill this one for me, probably no problem. And Bois d'Arménie is based on Papier d'Arménie, which means Armenian paper or Armenian woods, maybe. I'm not sure of the exact. Probably paper, actually, yeah. And what it is it is a small, from what I've seen anyway, is a small piece of paper. Maybe it comes in a booklet, you could say. And you take out one of the pieces and fold it into like an accordion-shaped little piece of paper, and you light it, and it acts as a room scent. It's really, really beautiful. And I feel like those elements are to be found in this fragrance. This fragrance is a little bit smoky, vanillic, ambery. It's very warm. It's a spicy fragrance, benzoin. And I think it's a very full-bodied fragrance. It is like a semi-gourmand, sweet, smoky is basically what's going on in this fragrance. A while ago, I was in one of my favorite stores in London, Davidoff, not where they sell cool water, but where they sell cigars. And I saw a little booklet of Papier d'Arménie. I smelled it, and it really did remind me of this. I think Bois d'Arménie, though, feels like a fragrance that you would wear. It doesn't just feel like the scent of incense and, you know, a room scent kind of thing. It really does have a lot more going on. But I was quite impressed that they came quite close to the scent of Papier d'Arménie. I didn't want this list to be dominated by Guerlain fragrances, but I'm just going to mention just one more. Again from the La Elle Matière collection. This one is Tonka Imperiale. My plan for later this year was to go back to Paris, and specifically the Guerlain boutique there, and I guess I'm like almost turning it into like an annual pilgrimage of some sorts. I like the idea though of getting on the train here in London, and within 2.5 hours or so I can be in Paris. And I think there's something quite special about buying a Guerlain fragrance from the Guerlain boutique in Paris. So Tonka Imperiale is a fragrance that I would definitely bring back into my collection, and it was one of those that was in my mind as, you know, maybe should I buy it later on this year. I loved the sweetness in this fragrance, but it's not completely sweet. I feel like the elements of the tonka bean are captured quite nicely in Tonka Imperiale without being anything too sweet. You've got that warm, nutty qualities. It's slightly boozy. I feel like there's like a fruity touch in here, a tobacco note in here, almost maybe like a benzoin-y, resinous feel, which is really, really delicious and very, very indulgent. I love Tonka Imperiale. It's up there for me as one of the best from the La Elle Matière collection. I'd love to hear maybe what your favourite from the line is. And yeah, watch this space. Fingers crossed if I can make it to Paris this year, I'll pick it up. I also want to do like a little vlog style video, but with everything that's going on in the world, my travel plans aren't like important relative to what's going on, but hopefully things can ease up a little bit and let's see what happens. The British house of Floris really surprised me when they came out with a couple of releases with oud in them. I wasn't expecting this from a house that typically produces quite classic styles of fragrances, but the one I'm speaking about today is honey oud. They also came out with leather oud, but honey oud was one of those that I really gravitated towards and preferred. I think the way that they've included honey into this fragrance is really nice. It's slightly powdery, slightly ambery, not too sweet. Yeah, it never goes overboard with like a thick honey vibe. It actually kind of reminds me in some ways to Ombre Nuit, which is a fragrance from Dior's Privé collection, or it's called the Maison Christian Dior Parfums something line at the moment. And the oud in this in honey oud is not skanky at all. It adds a nice depth, like a deep woody base. It's perceptible, but it doesn't dominate at all. They say that they have used a natural oud, and I feel like I can feel that it is a natural oud rather than a synthetic. But it probably doesn't warrant the fragrance having oud in the title, but is a really excellent fragrance nonetheless. I thought I was going to actually buy this one I haven't bought it yet, but I think I would bring it into my collection. Check out the review if you want to hear more details. Tom Ford Cafe Rose. Definitely one of my favourites from the private blend line. I think they've done an excellent job with this one. This one used to exist with a couple of others in the, I think it was called the Jardin line, where it had a purple square. Now they've just discontinued a couple of them and left this one and put the black and gold, or the gold, back into this bottle. Still the same juice though. Really, really fantastic. You have to love rose. There's 3 different types of roses in here. There's a spiciness to this fragrance. I find it actually to be quite simple, but there is some nice transitions in this scent. Even though it is on the slightly darker side, on the spicier side, it is quite thick, I would say at times. I also find this one to be very wearable. You know, I don't find it too heavy or too cloying or anything like that, overly floral. It's just very, very nicely done, really well balanced. And at the moment, it's the only Tom Ford private blend I have in my collection. I wouldn't say I'm in a rush to bring back any others back into the collection, to my collection, or buy a private blend for the first time. But yeah, I'm really, really enjoying this one, and it's worth checking out for sure. This list of fragrances is definitely on the more, shall we say, heavier side. That's my preference, that's my style of fragrance, but I do have one which is on the fresher side that I think is definitely worth mentioning. From the house Maison Francis Kurkdjian, this one is called Apom. I wouldn't say that I'm in a rush to bring this one back into the collection. I've kind of got my eye on Cologne Indelible by Frederic Malle, but I think Apom, which stands for A Piece of Me, really does pretty much the same job. It's an orange blossom based fragrance. It has got this freshness to it that has a very luminous quality. It's got a muskiness, a white clean musky side to this fragrance. This style has been done numerous times, and it's just up to you to find the one that really works for you. But I think Apom was really, really beautiful. It had a kind of floral powdery touch to it, but also the citruses were really balancing that, and then the white muskness just sort of rounds off the fragrance. Really well done. I like this one a lot. They also have a few others in the line that do very similar jobs, and I feel like Francis Kurkdjian maybe enjoys this style. So if you might know Aqua Universalis, or you might know Petit Matin, or I feel like there's one more I'm thinking about, but this, you know, very Sunday morning walk through the park, you know, casual, slightly lazy vibe. Lazy in a relaxed way, not in terms of the composition, but yeah, I hope you know what I'm talking about. This is definitely worth checking out. So I just mentioned Frederic Malle, and even though I've never owned this particular fragrance in a full-size bottle, I've had the official 10 ml. I had a sample, and I currently have a 3.5 ml. This one is Noir Épice. Noir Épice is one of those that I feel just needs a little bit of time to settle on the skin, about an hour or so. But the reason I say that is because I get potpourri vibes in the opening. This powdery rosy style quality is there, which is not my favorite, but it's not terrible. It then later develops into something a little bit more spicy. The rose note in there comes out. The carnation is quite noticeable. There's an orange note in here, which I think it works really, really nicely. And actually, it's quite a full-bodied fragrance, and definitely has a great longevity and staying power. Very elegant fragrance, very much an evening scent. I feel I have worn it many times during the day, and I feel like it transitions so nicely throughout the day and stays on the skin. But I feel Noir Épice, maybe because of the word noir alluding to darkness, black, something along those lines, maybe that's making me feel like this is better in the evening. But yeah, you do wear it wherever you want. Really good fragrance from Frederic Malle. The next fragrance to mention is actually my scent of the day from the brand Parfums MDCI. This one is Chypre Palatin. Chypre Palatin is a fragrance that I used to own in a partially used bottle, and I knew that I had to bring it back into my collection. I think this is an absolute masterpiece from Bertrand Duchaufour. It's multi-layered. There is times when I pick up on notes that I normally don't pick up on. Other days where other notes come through on my skin. Warm weather actually brings out a more ambery, sweeter quality to this fragrance, which kind of like was a nice surprise. I thought this was a cold weather scent, but you know what? It's always good to test fragrances in different conditions. They might surprise you. Recently, what I've been getting is a sweet licorice note in this. I mean, the note breakdown is like crazy. There's just so much going on in this fragrance, and I feel like, you know, I could do a whole review on this one and say a bunch of things and then review it later and say something different. It's one of those. Incredible staying power, wonderful development. It smells boozy at times. It has oriental quality to this. It's spicy. There's orange in here. Whoa, Chypre Palatin is next level juice. Definitely worth checking out. Guys, let me know your thoughts. What do you think about these fragrances? Maybe make some recommendations of your own. If you like this type of content, hit the like button and consider subscribing. I'd appreciate that. And I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye.